on the wisdom, even you try to analyze, contemplate, and meditate on the ultimate nature of the objects and phenomena, still your mind will not be able to penetrate deeply, because your mind will be very much distracted. Your mind will be very much distracted. So you are unable to penetrate deeply, You will be able to kind of, scratch the surface, but you cannot, penetrate deep enough. And that is because you don't have that support of that single-pointed concentration, undistracting mind. So therefore, that is why you need the support of that meditative concentrations to be able to penetrate deeply. And in order to have that meditative concentrations, then you need to have a strong practice of moral discipline. Without strong moral discipline, then it is hard to cultivate strong karma abiding shamatha. If you cannot control the gross distractions, then it will be much more difficult to control the subtle distractions. So the practice of moral discipline help us to, control the gross level of distractions. And then as you go deeper, then when you try to have a karma abiding meditative concentration, then not only you need to be free from the gross distraction, but you need to also be free from even the most subtle and most subtle distractions, and without any kind of distraction, then, and your mind being very alert and clear, then you can really penetrate when you analyze with that kind of mind to the ultimate nature. So this is the gradual path of the middle capable beings, So then next ones, independence upon that. So by having meditated, having contemplated, on the nature of samsara, how the nature of samsara is suffering, and as long as samsara, how you continue to experience sufferings, and how samsara, the evolution of samsara, why we end up in samsara, due to our own karma and delusions, and how delusion is the very root of all of them. And therefore, then in order to cut the delusion, then cutting the very root of those delusions found in the ignorance, and in order to do that, then engage in a practice of theory higher training, and through practice of theory higher training, then independent upon that, by practicing that, by applying the theory principle, theory higher training to cut the root of samsara and the sufferings, and through that, even if I achieve mere liberation, and through that, even we are able to achieve, total liberation and nirvana, freedom from the samsara, freedom from the delusions, freedom from the karma, contaminated karma and delusion. Even we are able to achieve, freedom, liberation, nirvana from the samsara sufferings and the cause of samsara and suffering, the delusions. Since there is no sentient beings of six types who have not been my father and mothers, So even we achieve that, but if mother sentient beings were left with the suffering, how can we be happy with that? All other sentient beings, how can we be indifferent to them? How can we not feel their pain and sufferings? when they all had been our most kind, caring, loving father and mother many, many times. It is just that at the moment we cannot remember, we cannot recognize, we are unable to recognize and unable to remember, but they have been, in the past, you know, our most kind mother, our most caring fathers at one time, not only one time, many, many times, each of them. And so those who have been so kind and caring to us so many times in the past, and when they are suffering in the samsara, how can we just think of our own happiness, liberations, and totally neglect them, ignore them, their pain, their suffering? And so therefore, please bless me to think I must fulfill that purpose. Therefore, I must, since they have been so kind, compassionate, caring so many times in the past, therefore I must repay the kindness now and fulfill their purpose, fulfill their well-beings, fulfill their needs, fulfill their happiness. So therefore, please bless me to think I must fulfill their purpose and turn away from the lower happiness of nirvana. And that means, so therefore, instead of inspiring to achieve individual liberations, my mind should turn away from that, and instead I should turn my mind towards, fully enlightenment for the well-beings of all sentient beings, not just my individual freedom, not just my individual liberation and nirvana, but I must, turn my mind towards to work and to practice and to work for the liberation of all sentient beings, freedom of all sentient beings, happiness of all sentient beings. Then please bless me to generate precious bodhicitta, and so that is what the bodhicitta mind is. Bodhicitta mind is the mind, that inspired to achieve fully enlightenment, to fulfill the purpose of all sentient beings, to liberate all sentient beings, for the happiness of all sentient beings, for the well-being of all sentient beings. That is what the bodhicitta mind. And so therefore, and how can we cultivate the bodhicitta mind, that wonderful mind, that precious and powerful and wonderful mind? How can we cultivate that bodhicitta mind? By equalizing, by following these particular meditations, or by equalizing and changing myself with others. So through as Shantideva explained in his Guide to the Bosa Way of Life in chapter 8, in meditation chapter, then by following that particular method of exchanging self with others, So at the moment, we become the center of the world due to our selfish attitude, due to that selfish attitude, you are the center of the world. Everything has to be centered around you. You are most important than anyone else. Others are less important than yourself. Others are not the center of the world. You are the center of the world. Others should listen to you. Others should follow you. Others should be nice to me. I don't have to be nice to others. Others should be nice to me. I don't have to be kind to others. Others should be kind to me. I don't have to like others. Others should be liking me. I don't have to praise them. They should be praising me. That is how our selfish attitude feel at the moment. Now, through practice, then we try to exchange that attitude, and to change to the bodhisattva attitude, the bodhicitta attitude. And that is through practice. Then, The others are more important than myself. I am important, but others are more important than myself. And others should be the one who is the center of the world, not the me, you know. So, and so through that kind of training, then we begin to have that kind of attitude, the bodhisattva attitude, the bodhicitta attitudes, that regard and hold, others as more precious than ourselves, others as more important than ourselves, others as being the heart and the center of the everything. And so when you have that kind of attitude, then then you can develop bodhicitta easily. Then you are able to develop compassion to them, loving kindness to them, and bodhicitta to them. So that is through that is how we try to generate the precious bodhicitta mind, by equalizing and exchanging myself with others, by exchanging that attitude. Because the selfish attitude, as we mentioned yesterday, is the main obstacles to cultivate the bodhicitta mind, whereas cherishing others, the attitude of cherishing others, is the main cause to cultivate the bodhicitta mind. And so therefore we try to train to exchange that attitude. And by exchanging that attitude, then we can cultivate the bodhicitta mind easily. And once you have developed the bodhicitta mind by using such method of practice and meditations, once you have cultivated the precious bodhicitta mind, then what you do is and to follow the contact of congruous sons, the six paramita and so forth. Then, once you have generated bodhicitta mind, then you engage in the bodhisattva practice, such as six paramita perfection, the perfection of generosity, morality, patience, joyous effort in the virtues, mental concentration and wisdom, and so forth. Sometimes four more paramita, but the paramita method, power, prayer, and exalted wisdom, as well as four means of gathering other sentient beings and benefiting them. So those are the bodhisattva, different bodhisattva practice conduct. So engaging that. So with that, then that is the practice of great scope. Bodhisattva practice, Mahayana practice, the great scope. And so that is the kind of the common gradual path of great capable. So common gradual path, when you say common with what? Common with what? So this practice is common to both sutra and tantra, whether you are trying to practice just based on sutra, or whether you practice Vajrayana or Mantrayana or Vajrayana tantric practice, you need to have this common practice as a foundations. If you don't have this practice, this common gradual path, then even you engage into a practice such as Vajrayana or tantric practice, your practice will not become so effective. Your practice will not become powerful. Your practice will not become profound as they should be, because you don't have the good foundation of this common path, because you don't have the strong foundation of this common path. But on the basis of having this strong practice of this common path as a strong foundations, then on top of that, if you engage in a certain other practice that is explained in Tantra, that is not taught in Sutta, then those practices can be extremely powerful, effective, profound. But those become effective, powerful, profound only if you have those strong, profound foundation of this common path. So And so again here, that's very important to be aware. Without that foundations, you try to jump because you think, oh, it's profound, it's a quick way, easy way. Then instead of being quick way, it becomes long way. It instead of becoming easy way, it becomes difficult way. Instead of being profound, it becomes non-profound because you don't have the right foundations. It's like someone who doesn't know how to drive very well, who have just learned how to drive and who doesn't have a good foundations to drive in a very, and they take a one shortcut, but where it's a very dangerous road. It's a shortcut. If you are really good diver, if you have really trained well, if you are good, then it is a short way, easy to reach your destination. But then someone who doesn't have that train, and if they try to, then they put themselves in danger, risk themselves. And so that is similar, here also. So the next one is, the training in the Vajrayana or Tantric. So having trained my mind in common path in that way. So the common path is the Lamrim, okay, through the practice of middle scope, small scope, middle scope, and great scope, which is, or in other way, another way of putting it is, common path is renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom, that as a common path. So having trained in that those common path, I will not be upset even if I have to experience the suffering of samsara for a long time. So in terms of your courageous, so to practice the Vajrayana, the quick way, you have to have even more stronger courage. So so from your side, even you have to be in the samsara and experience the samsara, suffering of samsara for eons and eons, still you are not so upset or frustrated with that, still not being frustrated with that, and you are having the courage to experience them if you have to experience for eons and eons. However, but please bless me to look at sentient beings with extraordinary, unbearable compassion. But even though I can experience for eon and eon, but I cannot let the sentient beings to experience for a long time, for eons and eons. So I cannot let, even though for myself, I don't mind being samsara, eons and eons, and experience sufferings. So because you have that, courage to, without being frustrated, and courage to deal with that. But when you think of other sentient beings, how can I allow them to experience for so long? So the stronger compassion than even previous. You want to not only free them from suffering and cause of suffering, you want to free them from the suffering and cause of them suffering as quick as possible, because if they are in samsara, even for one day, is very painful. If 1 week, 1 month is even more painful, more unbearable. 1 year, one lifetime, even so your compassion is even more stronger than before, feeling unbearable of them being experiencing even for a short time. And for that, then that is the reason to enter the tantric path with that stronger compassion for others. So if you enter the tantric path, with the wish to liberate yourself very quickly, easy and quick path, then that is where the wrong motivations. So to enter here, you need to have even more stronger compassion than even before. So that is why extraordinary, unbearable compassions, the motivation to enter the path, and then enter the quick path of Vajrayana teachings, and the quick path of the Vajrayana teachings. And then please bless me to protect my vows and samaya more than myself. And in order to enter the Vajrayana path, The tantric path, you have to, in order to practice those tantric practices, and then you have to take the initiations, at the very beginning to ripen your mind. And having taken initiations, then it comes with the vows and samaya. And so then you have to keeping the samaya and the vows, the pledges is very important once you have taken the empowerments, and so that is why please bless me to protect my vows, samaya, more than myself, and quickly accomplish unified Vasadara state of one brief lifetime of this degenerate time, and so then requesting for the bless to be able to accomplish, the Buddhahood very quickly in those degenerate time. And this is the gradual path of secret mantra, Vasara behavior of greatest capable beings. So that is the very concise kind of a lumbering whole path, complete path. So you can do that meditations, so that can be kind of the, you can meditate on those different topics, as I mentioned, I think it is a nice, you could change topic every day, you could change the topic every day of lumbering, but I think it's more helpful, beneficial if you keep one topic at least 1 week, 2 weeks. So then you get to, because then you get to be familiar with the practice. If you keep on changing, you don't have time to really get familiar with that practice. And then you don't really feel it, you don't really feel it. It takes time to get familiar with the practice. And then slowly you begin to sink, that practice begin to sink, and you begin to kind of feel about it, about that. And that's what we need, it's not just kind of following, this step, next step, next step, next step, and it's done, Like in physical exercise, you do each step and that is it, more about, but here it's more about feeling and transforming your mind. And to feel and to transform your mind, it takes time to really sink it, and you have to give enough time. And so, you could do 1 week, 2 weeks, or even 3 weeks with each of topics, and then you move to the next topics and next, and then go through the whole topic throughout the years, and then like that can be one way of doing. So that is kind of, and if you have taken initiations, then after that, lumbering meditations, then again, then you can do your practice if you have some sadhanas, some mantras that you have commitments to do, or even you don't have commitments, you want to do some mantras, you can do that. So with that, then you can kind of have that morning meditation practice. That will be good. But if you struggle with some of the lumbering subjects and some of the practice meditation, and there are some others you find more helpful, more effective, then you can also kind of just focus on that as well too, instead of trying to struggle yourself to certain topics that you somehow it doesn't connect to you, doesn't fit you, doesn't suit you at this moment. You don't really it doesn't really touch you, but still it's struggle, you have a lot of struggle. Maybe you can just keep it at the moment, you can skip that. And then maybe you need to talk more about that with them, Sangha members, with your teachers. Maybe you need to do more studies, maybe more investigations. And so whatever, you can try to do that, but you try to, whatever you feel strong, connected, then you can focus on that. And if you don't have that problem, then it's good to go through the whole different learning topic and subjects and complete the whole path So that is kind of the morning setting up a daily practice, formal meditation practice. And again, I know this is just one example of how it can be done. It doesn't have to be exactly like that, so any questions before we end up here?
Geshe, this is Heather. I maybe this would be something that you talk about in the afternoon session. With your advice about how to set up to offer myself to the Buddha Dharma Sangha in the morning, I feel very connected. And when I do the water bowls, I feel very connected. At the end of the day, the Vajrasattva practice for purification is lovely, but I don't feel as connected. I'd like some advice about how to feel connected when I'm emptying the water bowls and with doing the Vajrasattva practice. I don't know if it makes sense, but it feels like it's just me. I don't feel the same connection that I do when I set forth in the morning. So if there's maybe this is something you'll talk about in the next session. Does my question make sense?
So you feel connected when you're setting up the water bowl, but you don't feel when
I empty the water bowl, yeah. Or with Vajrasattva, it just feels like it's like I'm just done. I'm just cleaning up. There's not this sort of devotion and this reverence and I'd like to have a way to be more connected.
Okay. The purification part, maybe I might talk depending on our time before I get to that. But probably maybe I might be able to find time to discuss on that. So with the when you take the water down, you have to rejoice and feel great that I've been able to make this offering today. So maybe you need a rejoicing and feeling good about that you have been able to do this practice when you take down, and then I have another opportunity to do this practice tomorrow, by taking it, cleaning it, and then kind of getting ready to offer again tomorrow, So I think that kind of rejoicing for having done something and then thinking is part of preparing. Is not the end, is preparing for the next, and so maybe that might be able to help. So maybe you can see, it's like not the end of the project that you like very much, but it's also beginning of new projects, it's kind of you are ending one new project that you are leading to the new something exciting project yourself. So so looking from that kind of perspective, and then the water that has been offered, that has been blessed, then you bless the plant. So then you have the opportunity, again thinking I have the opportunity to bless the plants, bless the earth, with this. So it's not just an ordinary water, but it's kind of being offered to the enlightened beings, and it has been blessed. And so therefore it has, more special than ordinary water. And so it gives you opportunity to bless the plant and the earth itself. And so again, thinking that and bringing that aspect of contemplation could and might help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So then we will see, at 1. And so again, Changjo Sanjo Rinpoche, Mage Pano, Kekyo Che, Kyo, Nyapa, Come back home to feel. So then if you have more questions, I will take later. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe. We'll see you all at 1.
Okay. Take.
Thank you.
Thank you.